Not so much. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and get started. For those of you that joined on time, we definitely want to be mindful of that time. There are more people joining in, and we'll let them in as soon as we can. But right now, we are going to get going. So welcome all of you to Cost Effectively Engage Congregants with Social Media, Digital Marketing, and Strong Graphics. I'm your host, and my name is Camille Jamerson, and I'm the CEO of CDJ Associates, as well as the Camille Company. And this webinar is being sponsored by none other than PosterMyWall. And I know for some of you, you're probably like, you know, I really appreciate the invitation. Somebody in my congregation saw it, sent it to me. But Camille, what is PosterMyWall? And I'm so glad you asked. Let's talk about that. PosterMyWall. PosterMyWall is like a one-stop online solution for all of your graphic design needs. Their site has simple designs, and it will allow anybody with no experience whatsoever to create stunning graphics and videos without requiring any artistic skills. Seriously, anybody can use this. Now, PosterMyWall also specializes in high quality prints and downloads. It offers social media post templates, including videos, and you can use it for your Facebook, for your Instagram, and all other social media marketing. These templates that they have on their site, and if you haven't stopped by there, as soon as this is over, run over there. Their templates make designing a breeze for small businesses, for churches, ministries such as yours, sports teams, retail promotions, concerts, events, and more. So that is what PosterMyWall is. I'm hoping that that gave you a better idea of who they are, what they are about. And PosterMyWall is, as I said in the beginning, the sponsor of this particular event. They gathered together some experts to come to you today to share some amazing things about graphics and integrating them into your worship experience and integrating them into your social media. Our team of experts, ta-da, myself, again, my name is Camille, and CDJ Associates, as I mentioned earlier, is a branding, marketing, and communications consulting firm here in the Midwest. We're also going to be joined by Jamal Mosley, who is a church social media marketer and a website consultant. We're going to be joined by Matt Snyder, who is the Director of Communications of First Baptist Church of Decatur, Georgia. And we're going to have Molly Pelic, who is the Google Ad Grant Manager for Church Marketing University. This team is amazing. I've had a chance to meet with them, talk with them. We've been getting together, pulling this together for you guys. You are going to be amazed at some of the things that you learned today. So speaking of Molly, who was the last person that I introduced, she's going to kick things off today with a mind-blowing marketing opportunity from Google for churches worth thousands of dollars a month. So really, thousands of dollars a month. So lean into your computer and get ready to learn about something that you had no idea probably even existed. Okay, so I'm going to get ready to turn it over to Molly. This is the part where I need you guys to like clap, because it's going to take me a minute to make certain that I can get the screen over to her. Okay, can you guys do that for me? Are you clapping? Are you clapping? Like really, really, really clapping? All right. Here we go. Take it away, Molly.
Yeah, well, thank you, Camille. As Camille mentioned, we at Church Marketing University run Google Ad grants for different churches, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what that Google Ad grant looks like, what it can do for your church, and how you can access it. So let me share my screen here really quick. All right. And here we go. Okay, so the Google Ad Grant Program. The first question a lot of people ask is just, what is the Google Ad Grant Program? So the Google Ad Grant. Google offers advertising money to nonprofit organizations. That's the basic idea. And this ad grant is $10,000 a month for Google search ads. So if you search a relevant keyword such as churches in my area, you'll notice that there are some churches that pop up at the top of your search result. And I can show you an example of what that looks like. Right here. So I searched for church online in Canton, Michigan. That's where my church is located. And you can see when I screenshotted my Google search results here, some of those churches showed up at the top with this little green ad icon next to them. That means that those were sponsored results. They show up at the top of the search results. And you'll notice there's one for Grace Church Canton, Church Online. That second one there is for Friendship Church Canton, which is my church. And then there's 242 and Grace Fellowship Church. That second ad there for Friendship Church Canton, where we're advertising our church online and the ministry that we do, we didn't pay anything for that ad. That was completely free through the Google ad grant. And we were able to show up second in this search result just because of Google's free ad money. So this is something that definitely is worth taking advantage of for churches and for other nonprofit organizations because it'll help you rank higher in search results and push more people to your website and to your ministry. So how do you apply for the Google ad grant? Well, the very first step is to apply for Google for Nonprofits. Google for Nonprofits is useful anyway. Google offers some other things such as G Suite, which will give you additional Google Drive space, and it's an email hosting system. So Google offers you some other things as well, but Google for Nonprofits is worth signing up for, even if just for the Google ad grant, because it's $10,000 a month in free advertising. So you can go basically just search for Google for Nonprofits or go to that web address I have on the screen there, google.com/nonprofits. Google offers this ad grant through the program, which is Google for Nonprofits. So you do need to start by applying for that nonprofits account. So then once you have your ad grant account, what do you do? That's the next question people ask. And so what you're going to want to do is create ad groups, which are exactly what they sound like, different groups of ads. And those groups of ads are based on different keywords. So my church created ad groups for all of the different landing pages we have out there. We have an ad group for our church online services, an ad group for our kids ministry, ad group for youth ministry. We're doing drive-in church right now, so an ad group for that. We're about to put out an ad group for a kids ministry program that we're going to be offering this weekend. So you can basically make as many ad groups as you want for as many different ministries and opportunities as you want. Just make sure you're using relevant keywords that are going to push people to the information they're looking for. Google puts a big emphasis on that, helping people find the information they want. So make sure that the information you're advertising is relevant to the keywords that you put on your account. So once you get your account set up, you'll be able to track impressions, which is how many people saw your ad. It looks like when I took this screenshot in that past 30 days, about 3.2 thousand people had seen our ads. 12.98% of those people clicked through our ads. And that click-through rate is important to pay attention to because Google requires you to maintain a 5% click-through rate in order to qualify for that ad grant. And then you can also just see the amount your account spent every month. This 30-day segment here, it looks like we spent almost $4,000 of our ad grant. The highest we've ever gotten is around $6,000, and that was April, so there was Easter in the month and everything was online because of COVID. And so our ads definitely spent more that month because people were looking for online ministry. But you can average, I mean, anywhere from maybe $1,000 a month up to like that 6,000 that we hit, or some people spend much more than that, depending on how many ministries you're advertising and what you're offering, basically. So once you have the Google ad grant, like I mentioned, there are some requirements to maintain that Google ad grant to continue to qualify. So you'll want to maintain a 5% click-through rate. You'll want to have high quality keywords, maintain your account, and Google gives you resources for these things. Just make sure you're staying up to date on Google's requirements and using the tools that Google provides, such as their keyword planner tool, which is right in your account. It'll help you find high quality keywords. This is that keyword planner tool. So basically when I put in the keyword churches in my area, it gave me some other suggestions. It said, you know, churches in my area gets this many average monthly searches, but here are some other similar searches that you might want to add to your account. And it tells you like how much competition you'll have, how many searches. So that helps you plan out the keywords so that you can get the most out of that ad grant. And then you'll definitely want to be continuing to learn more as you manage your ad grant account. This is not something that you want to just set up and leave and see what happens, because Google does require account maintenance. It requires you to meet the grant requirements. So just make sure you're staying up to date on those. But there are a lot of resources online. Google has a course that teaches you how to run Google search ads, which are the type of ads that this grant covers. There are other online courses. If you just Google search how to run a Google ad grant, read articles, do research, you can always reach out to Google. And my contact info will be on here as well. So if you have questions for me about the Google ad grant, or for us at Church Marketing University, we'd be happy to help answer those questions. And so here's my contact info if you want to write that down. Feel free to reach out. Like I said, I'd be happy to help. Our goal is to help as many churches as possible apply for this grant, whether we or another organization manage it for you, or if you manage it yourself. Really, our goal is just that the most possible churches are using this grant, because we know that's more and more people who are able to share the gospel in that way, more and more people who are able to drive traffic to their websites, which ultimately equals more people walking through your door and more people that you have an opportunity to minister to. So that's sort of the heart behind what we do. And so if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out anytime. And we would love to be in touch with you and help you get that Google ad grant going. So I'm gonna hand it back to Camille here. Let's see. All right, Camille, I'm gonna make you the host again.
Awesome.
There you go.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. Was that not amazing? $10,000 of free money to put your ministry at top of mind when people are looking for a church to hang out with in their particular area. Is that something that you guys are going to look into? If so, let me see some amens in the chat, okay? Yes, absolutely. Now, let's get back into our topic for today, which is social media, digital marketing, and strong graphics. For those of you who are just joining or coming into the chat a little bit late, no problem. I'm Camille. Welcome. We're glad to have you. As you see on the screen, I'm the CEO of CDJ Associates, and we manage brands, communications, and marketing. We're going to be joined by Jamal Mosley, who is a church social media marketer and a website consultant, and also Matt Snyder, who is the director of communications from First Baptist Church of Decatur, Georgia. And those of you who are kind of like, well, why is this kind of important? Why are we even talking about this right now? Just so you know, just off the bat, yes, I am a brand consultant, etc. But I'm also a church girl. I'm a church girl and I'm a pastor's daughter. So if you mix my branding world with being a church girl and understanding the dynamics of ministry and smush all those things together, you get somebody who understands how important it is to get your message out to the masses. So you blend all that together, you use your God-given talent, not only for businesses, but now I get the opportunity to do it for churches as well. You can't beat that. So now before March 13th, that was one world. But on the other side of that world, we're in this brand new space, right? And in this space of digital dominance, it requires a new strategy for ministry. How many of you were really prepared for what we're dealing with right now? Really? No? Yes? Kind of? Sort of? Some ministries weren't prepared at all. This was one of them. This being online and shifting all of their services virtually was something they hadn't even imagined doing. As you see on the left, this is what their graphics used to look like, because the only people that saw them were kind of their own little congregation. So they weren't really looking to do anything fancy or special, because visually, they didn't really have to think about that component. However, that week in March, when things changed, they needed to up their visual presence immediately and get some really strong graphics so they could reach out to their congregants and let them know how church was going to be handled from that day forward. And I got that emergency call, and thankfully I was able to go on PosterMyWall and create what you see on the right in 60 minutes or less. And the only reason it took that long is because I had to find the right pictures that I wanted to use. Otherwise, it would have took minutes, because they have templates like this that are already ready for you to drop your stuff in and make it happen. Some churches just needed help leveling up. So as you see on the right, this is another church that I was working with. They had some graphics that they were using, of course, again, just for their congregation. They really didn't expect the whole world to have access to them or see them. So now they were like, hey, we just need some help making this stuff look nice. Again, jumped on PosterMyWall, and we created for them what you see there on the right-hand side. We made all their little, use their same ideas as far as the little phones and what have you, but we just made everything uniform. And then we pushed their brand colors in there and really use graphics to help this stand out. And when you see it on the big screen at their church, people are able to look at the way that they give and see the information that they need, just like that. Then we took their entire graphic presence and re-upped it for them, using their brand colors, using fonts, using their logo, using pictures of their pastor and other really cool high-res photos. We were able to restructure how their brand was presented on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, on their website, everywhere. Now everything looks married. As you see there, everything looks like it belongs, even though they're all different events. Some are thumbnails, some are flyers for different things that they were doing. Some were Zoom meetings, but everything looks married. And these are the kinds of things that you can do relatively quickly on PosterMyWall. Even for their YouTube page, if you see down there at the bottom, those are thumbnails that we created for them. So now when you go to their YouTube page, you can see all of their thumbnails, all of the pastor's sermons, and all of the ones that we did. They look really, really uniform. They look neat, and people are able to get to what they want quickly. And that was something that you could do on PosterMyWall. Took us no time at all, right? Now you're thinking, can our ministry do that too? Of course you can. Of course you can. You can do that too. It took absolutely nothing for me to get on there and do that for them. But if you don't have the resources to bring in a consulting team, that's that's the beauty of PosterMyWall. It's something that you can do for yourself. So now we're going to talk to Matt Snyder, who is the Director of Communications of First Baptist Church of Decatur, Georgia. And Matt is going to tell you how he used graphics and some of the amazing things on PosterMyWall to integrate into their social media, not just for their congregation, but how they were able to integrate it into their community. Guys, you don't want to miss this. Now I'm going to find Matt. This is the part where you guys are supposed to clap. You're supposed to be clapping until I can find them, right?
I'm here.
Oh, good. There you are. Hey, Matt.
Hey.
Good. I was hoping that you could, that I could find you relatively quickly.
I tried to make it easy on you.
And don't you just love Matt for that, guys?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, take it away, Matt.
All right. Let me pull this screen up. So, can you guys see this?
Yep.
All right, cool. That's all I needed to know. So I want to talk just briefly today about how your church can use social media. I'm going to kind of go over some examples of how I've used social media at the church I'm at presently, and hopefully you can get some good takeaways from that. But there's my contact info. I have 2 email addresses. One's the church and one's my personal. You're welcome to use either one. I'll have that information on the screen in a little bit, so you're welcome to snag that then too. A little bit about me. I'm the communications director at First Baptist Church Decatur. I've been there for over 3 years, I think, something like that. And before that, I roasted coffee. I was in ministry for 15 plus years, started out as a youth pastor, like every millennial. And then I did missions work and did some nonprofit ministry work. And I still do work with faith-based nonprofits. So still my world, but I'm also a business owner at Copywriter Creative, and I help socially conscious brands connect with their audiences through email and content. So that's kind of my gist right now. But today what I want to be talking about with you is how I use social media at First Baptist Decatur, how I decide what to post and where and when, give you some examples from our accounts, like I said, and then hopefully there's some good suggestions for you there at the end. So this is how our church uses social media. Primarily, we use it as a listening tool. So, there's 168 hours during a week. And for the most part, we spend, well, at least in my community, people spend maybe 1 to 2 hours a week at the church in non-COVID times. And so what are they doing the other 166, 167 hours of the week? Well, they're in other places, living lives, doing other things. And if research is true, then most people spend at minimum 1 to 2 hours on social media per day. So we go on there and we listen to our congregation and, what are they talking about? What's on their hearts? What's on their minds? What are their cares and concerns? It's a great tool for listening. It's a great tool for engagement. So we like to interact with people like, hey, how's it going? How's your life? What are your prayer requests? That kind of thing. It's a great tool for engagement for us. It's a billboard, so it's a good place to advertise and say, hey, this is what's going on at the church. So we use that a lot. And we use it as a living room, so a place to facilitate conversation and to just ask people what's going on in their lives. We see relationships build using social media and Facebook groups, for example. So it's been a very cool tool. So how do we decide what to post, when and where? Honestly, trial and error. I've done social media for more nonprofits than I can count. I've done it for tons of churches. But through and through, at the end of the day, just trial and error is basically how I figured out what to post, when to post it, and where to post it. A part of it is because I measure what does and doesn't work. And so I use all kinds of tools, whether it's Facebook Insights, Twitter Analytics, Instagram Insights, or Google Analytics. There's all these built-in tools to these social media platforms that tell you how your posts are performing, how many people are clicking the links, the types of people that are viewing your content, the types of content that's popular with them, their age. If you integrate Google Analytics with some of your Facebook posts, for example, you'll know what they do once they get to your website, for example. It's a very useful tool. I highly recommend you get plugged in with your analytics tools. But I measure what does and doesn't work. Then also, I ask our people, what do you want to see more of? Every year I send out a survey to our most digitally savvy bunches of people. Usually it's an intersection of people who are very engaged with our email lists, and then I know that are active on social media, and I just say, hey, what's working? What do you want to see more of? And they do that. That's just ask. You'd be surprised at what people would tell you. And then lastly, I try to only post relevant content on the company platforms. So you don't want to post something about pizza delivery to your church group when hold on a second. I'm trying to mute this person. If you just joined, can you please make sure you're muted too, by the way? That'd be great. But anyway, I only post relevant content. I'm not going to post information to our church community about pizza delivery services when that has nothing to do with the community. They don't want to know anything about buy one, get one off at Publix. What they want to know is how can they fill their spiritual tanks up? That kind of thing is important to our audience. So only post relevant content. Again, back in the day, your timelines used to be built on chronological order. So if somebody posted something, you would see the newest post first. Now it's for example, on Facebook, it's based on relevant content. So the more relevant your content that you're posting is to your audience, the more likely they're going to see it. So some examples that I want to share with you. These are kind of how we use our Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram platforms. And I'm going to kind of just walk you quickly through kind of how often I post on those channels, what works well, and then give you some examples. So our Twitter handle is Decatur Church. I use it as a tool to just basically discover what's trending in the community, not just with our immediate community, but even the local community. It's kind of where people go to have conversations in today's world. But some things that have worked well for us are like faith-based news tweets. So stuff that's going on in like the Baptist world, for example, retweets of like our congregation's favorite leaders. I've been experimenting with threaded prayers lately in Facebook or on Twitter, and those have done well. And then always like just making a quick graphic of like a scripture quote and sharing it with a quick comment. Those do really, really well. I only post on Twitter about 1 to 3 times per day. It's not a high converting platform for us. So I don't use it that much, to be quite honest. But some examples, this is an example of like a scripture graphic that did well. You can create something like this in literally seconds and post to my wall. So that's a good option for you. Our clergy got really involved with the area to clergy about drafting statements and doing protests with the Black Lives Matter movement stuff. And so posting about that did really well on that platform. And then this is an example of the threaded prayer that we used. As far as Instagram goes, we have 2 accounts. We have the top one is our general church account. The bottom one is our youth group account. The bottom account is not run by me, it's run by a youth pastor, because that makes sense. But more so, generally speaking, our account is really popular with our 20s and 30 somethings in the church. What works well is Bible verses, obviously, like graphics. Music videos from our online worship services work well. And then short devotional content gets consumed quite a bit. Also posted some pictures last week of just like a retreat from last year, just kind of like a throwback memory. People loved that, they ate it up. So I only post on Instagram 3 times a week in the feed. And then on our stories, I usually try to post twice a day. Our story is also connected to our Facebook page, so people see that there as well. Some examples, this is a quote from a prayer that one of our pastors wrote. So again, I created this and posted my wall. Looks great. This is a video that worked really well. It's gotten a lot more views than 27 since I posted it, but I created that thumbnail and posted my wall as well. It, again, took me seconds. And then we have 4 very prominent marquees in downtown Decatur, and they get thousands of people drive by them every day. And so occasionally I'll post photos of the marquees if it's relevant and if I want to share the message, because I get to decide what's on it. But then Facebook, though, it's our bread and butter. It's where most of our congregation is active daily, multiple times a day. We have 2 Facebook presences. The first is our public page, which is that top one, /Decatur Church. And then we have a private group page for church members, and it's there on the bottom line. I will talk about how we use both. But again, the majority of our social media engagement and a quarter of our website traffic comes from Facebook. So we have over 1,000 followers on there. A lot of them are more than just church members. Some of them are local community members as well. Community leaders, the mayor, for example, the police department. A lot of the civic organizations follow us on there. And the farmers market, just tons of folks. But what's worked well is everything, to just say the least. But links to our devotions, prayers, and articles that we do multiple times a week, video content, whether it's the pastor interviewing somebody or our Sunday services we post on there, as well as YouTube. Graphics, open-ended questions, asking for feedback, those do well. I usually post minimum one time a day, at the most 3 times a day. Again, relevance is supersedes the number of times you post. So make sure you're posting relevant content. But like our Facebook page, it's public. So I treat it kind of as our front porch to the church on social media. And I try to share content on there that kind of affects the larger community as a whole, not just the church community, but like the local city as well. And our Facebook group, it's private, and I treat it more like the living room. And we talk about things in there that affect the immediate church family. So prayer requests and that kind of thing. Updates on life. So examples, this is our current Facebook cover photo. I made this and posted my wall, and it took me 3 minutes tops. It was a template, it was already there, so it's directing people to our online services. Again, this video of one of our youth performing in one of our Sunday service videos. She's incredibly talented. If you love classical music, go find that video. She'll blow your mind away. It's awesome. And then again, the same marquee, one of our youth asked me if he could ask his girlfriend to prom. That thing blew up. I mean, we had people calling the church, emailing the church, posting on our Facebook page, asking what she said. And she said yes, but I posted the photo of that on there. It did really, really well. Asked these kinds of questions, like what's one of your favorite worship songs? I asked this 2 different times, and the first instance, we had probably like 40 or 50 comments of people responding. I created this list of what they said and sent it to our music pastor so she could have good song choices for Sundays. In our private group, like we'll post devotions like this, or I'll ask questions like this, what are you doing for you? This was a month into pandemic lockdown stuff, and so people had some good responses. But overall, a quick recap and some suggestions that you can move forward with. Just remember to listen to your audience. Like, what are they talking about? What's important to them? Speak to them. Speak to their pain points. Encourage them with the things that they need encouraged with. But listen to them. They'll tell you what they want. They'll share things in their feeds about what they want to see. Invite them into conversation. People are way more civil than you think, especially when it comes to church threads. I've only had to block 1 person in my entire career at the church so far, and nobody even knew them, so it was fine. Only post relevant content, so figure out what's relevant to your audience. Again, what's relevant for my church community may not be relevant for your church community, so really do your research and your homework. Measure, 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 figure out what works, and figure out what doesn't work, but do more of what works. I think that's probably one of the best things you can lean into when doing church social media. So again, there's my contact info. It's my email address, my website. There's a template there if you manage content that might be helpful to you, all that stuff. But that's that. I'm gonna send this back over to Camille, and I figure out how to. Oh, there you are. You're right there.
Well, thank you so much, Matt.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh, was that not amazing, everybody? And I heard that we've got people actually waiting in the waiting room.
That's probably my fault. I apologize if I didn't let them know.
No worries. To all of you that are just joining, we're sorry we're just getting to you, but we were knee deep in already. And didn't know that you were in the waiting room. So thank you so much for still being a part of this and still joining. We're glad to have you. Come on in, make sure that you are muted, that you stay muted, and that you turn your video camera off as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, and I still see some thumbnails of folks, so please turn your cameras off, turn your videos off. It just helps this go a lot smoother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I didn't share this earlier, but I want to make certain that I tell you now. Those of you that stick to the end, there's going to be a free gift from PosterMyWall. So you want to stick around. We've got one more presenter, and then we're going to do some Q&A. So for those of you who are just joining and didn't get to hear Matt or didn't get to hear some stuff from Molly, we're going to have a Q&A, and so you'll be able to catch up. And then you probably saw in the chat that you're going to get to hear this recording again. So we are recording this. You will be able to hear it again because we know we're talking fast and we're just shooting a lot of information out to you, but it will be available to you. So again, make certain that you stick around because we got a free gift from PosterMyWall that we want to make certain that we get into your hands. And we definitely want you to be around for the Q&A because there may be things that you're thinking of right now. Drop your questions in the chat. We'll try to address as many of those as we can. And those that we can't, you're going to have our direct contact information. So you'll be able to reach out to us directly and ask whatever you like, right? Okay, so I think we've got everybody in that was waiting, and we're ready to keep it moving. Well, thank you, Matt, again, for those amazing creative examples of posting, and again, how your ministry not only has used social media to engage with your congregation, but how it's reached out to the community. And as I shared with you before, I absolutely love that post about the guy asking the girl to prom. And I'm so glad she said yes. How cool is that? But it's a way for you to take those tentacles out of the four walls of your church ministry and reach your community. And PosterMyWall and amazing graphics can help you do that. Awesome. Awesome. Now, in conjunction with that, let's see if we can find where we are with things here. Uh-oh. And of course I didn't do that right. Let's get ahead. Way ahead. Well, for those of you who are just joining in, you get a fast view of everything we've covered so far. So that was Matt, who we just had. And now we're going to jump into another part. Now, PosterMyWall graphics can be used for more than just flyers and event promos. You guys have probably figured that out. But what you may not have thought about is how you can use strong, amazing graphics to enhance your worship experience, right? How can you use graphics to make what you're doing during your worship time an amazing experience for all those that are watching? Some of us who, like me, are creatives and visual people. If they can see and picture and are given a visual representation of what the pastor may be preaching or what may be going on at a particular event or something that's coming up, it's more likely to stick. So how can we use graphics to integrate that into our worship experiences and make those even better than before? I'm glad you asked. We have somebody here that's going to share that very thing with you. His name is Jahng Mosley, and as I mentioned earlier in our presentation, he is a church social media marketer and a website consultant. So I am going to bring to the stage and pass the mic to Jahng. Jahng, are you there?
I'm here.
Awesome.
I'm here.
Well, we are so glad to have you, and I am trying to make you the host, and I don't know if I can. I don't see it.
Unshare your screen.
All righty, there we go.
Okay.
Got it?
No, you haven't made me the host as of yet.
Well, let's see.
Susie is the host now.
Uh-oh.
You pass it to Susie, so Susie, you're gonna have to make me the host.
That's what it is. I'm like, I don't see you anymore. Well, guys,
Just bear with us, please, momentarily. But while we're doing that, let me just introduce myself. My name is Jahng Mosley, and I am a member of Bethel Baptist Church in White Plains, New York. And I am a part of the media ministry. And Bethel Baptist Church is led by our own Reverend Dr. Edward O. Williamson and the First Lady, Reverend Deborah Williamson. And I'm here to say welcome all of you, the PosterMyWall guests. I'm honored and I'm thankful for being chosen to offer this opportunity on this day. As I indicated, my name is Jahng Mosley, and I am a member of Bethel Baptist Church in White Plains, New York. And here is some of the church information. I am the CEO of Mosley Media Marketing. I also have created websites for several different churches, one being Bethel Baptist Church, WP.org. Another is Mount Lebanon, BC.info, as well as Central Baptist Church in Saw Point, New York. You can all go there and at your leisure, just to view the websites, give you an idea that may be helpful for your church websites. And then we also created mobile apps for the churches. With that being said, let's get to business. The visual for worship experience. First and foremost, what I feel that's needed is the start of your worship is identifying who you are and where you are. So with that being said, the first thing, because we have screens inside the church, but at the same time, I'm also mindful of those that's viewing on live stream. And especially since March 13th, I like to use the term sermon surfing. A lot of people will go online and just surf through different types of sermons, okay, and listen to what's suitable for their needs. So when they come across our screen, they'll see an identification of Bethel Baptist Church. And we welcome all guests to our worship service. And I also believe in branding for the church. So therefore, because there's many different Bethel Baptist churches within the world. So I make sure there's an image of the church so that way they know exactly what the church looks like. I also like to identify what particular type of services that we may be having on that particular Sunday. So as you may see on your screen, okay, can you hear me? Am I being heard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. As you may say, I like to identify what type of service. So if it's a communion service first Sunday, people know, okay, today is communion service. It may be a graduate service for the graduates. It may be the youth Sunday. So I like to identify what service it is for the viewers as well as the congregants that's within the sanctuary. Now, prior to gathering, me personally, I like to have what I call congregation participation. So as you're entering the church, and as well as those that's home, that's waiting for the service to begin, I like to have a live countdown to keep them engaged. Because what happens is, if you sit there long enough, you start fellowshipping, you start talking, okay, then you got to be reminded where you're at. You're in the church, in the sanctuary. And I have a very high reverence for the sanctuary. So for those that's sitting, preparing for service, this is just a tool that I like to put on the screens for those, like I said, inside as well as outside of the church, to keep them engaged to what's about to happen, because our worship starts before we even leave the house.
Jamal?
Hey,
I'm
Yes,
sorry to
ma'am.
interrupt, it's Lisa. We're not seeing your screen. Everybody wants to see your graphics.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back. I
Oh.
do apologize. I'm gonna do it again. And I'm just gonna run it through real quick. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, perfect. Thank you.
I apologize. And once again, I'm a quick run through. This is just an identification to allow you to know that you have landed at Bethel Baptist Church. And this is something for those that's in the sanctuary as well as those that's viewing online. And this is just to identify what particular service it is. This is a communion service, so that way I will have a graphic up there informing them that it is communion service. And you can always change your graphic to whatever is suitable for that particular occasion. And crowd participation is what I was explaining to as far as those that's coming in, preparing for worship. All right, I like to use what they call a countdown to keep you engaged, to remember that you're here to worship and not here to just fellowship. Okay, so therefore, within 5 minutes of the start time of the service, I will start this, and it's also keeping those that live viewers that's home, it keeps them engaged as well. And it's always good to be refreshed on certain things when it comes to a Bible quiz. So now, church information. All right, what I like to do after my countdown is done, for those that's on the outside as well, is a reminder for we may have visitors that's coming into the church service. I like to put up our church theme. All right, and our church theme is doing a great work together, building hope, building relationship, and changing lives. All right, so I like to remind not just our congregants, the members, but even our guests as well as our online viewers what our church theme is. And you can choose to put whatever you want on your vision. Now, I also have the worship information. Okay, so now pastor may be doing certain things. He may be talking about certain services. Okay, so what I like to do is give them a visual on how they can come and worship with us. Not only how they can come worship with us, when they can come worship with us, what time our service starts, and what platforms that we'll be on. Okay, so that's why I like to make sure the visual is something that would captivate the eye. And every week I may change the visual. You don't want to keep the same visual, so the following week I may use a different image. All right, and I also include it when we have our Bible study on that particular image, so it can be very informative to those that's receiving it. And also, just to add, these images that I have designed, okay, you can also use them for social media purposes as well, if you want to post it on Instagram, Facebook, or even Twitter. Now, this is something that's a little bit more detailed as far as the information that's concerned, because some individuals may be curious to know, when do y'all have Sunday school? Okay, what classes of Sunday school do you offer? So if I post this, and like I said, I also post it online on our social media platforms, as well as the screens, to give everyone the knowledge to know how you can connect with us to join us for Sunday school. And regarding the Bible study for the different churches, I'm sure all churches have Bible study. So to help you create a nice logo and a nice branding, I make sure that our church information, our church logo is on there, okay? And I also include all the detailed information on how you may connect with Bethel Baptist Church for our online Bible study. Now, when we weren't online, we was also in the church. So you can revise it according to what fits your needs. But as far as the calling, make sure that you have the calling number and the meeting ID number. And if anything was to change, just make sure you update your image accordingly, so that way when people are looking to connect with you, they're not lost. You want to make it easy as possible for guests to connect. This is another image where I may change the look of things, so you don't want to use the same image over and over. You want to refresh. You want to make it appealing to the eye, because there may be somebody that saw the same image last week and said, okay, I saw that, I'm tired, and going to look right over it. But when you give them a new look, they're going to look further, okay, and then it may engage them to want to join us. Upcoming events. On the screen, Pastor may have his announcements, okay? So when Pastor's making his announcements, what I like to do is show them what the announcement is. We just recently had our 135th church anniversary this past Sunday. So as Pastor may be making that announcement in church, I also like to give the visual for those that's inside the sanctuary, as well as those that's online viewing. So that way they can connect to what he's saying. And it may be like we just had our graduation service. So it may be an image of this nature. And once again, just keep in mind, branding, and for the church, you see, I use the church logo as well. And I make sure all the detailed information is there on where our church is located, how you can connect with our church. Announcements, again, church announcements, pastor may make announcements. As far as our, we got a prayer line for men. So make sure you give an image and detailed information on how you can connect to the men's prayer line. It may not be the men's prayer line. It may be the women's prayer line. So if you look, there's different images, there's different looks to everything that's being done that's captivating to the eye. And that's what you want to draw them in. Make them want to get interested into what's going on. All right, because sometimes if you just put a plain image up there, people might overlook that and may not be concerned about what's really happening. We have a congregational prayer. And if you see this information, it will be shared. Please feel free to join us for our prayer line. Please feel free to join us for congregational prayer. We all need prayer, but feel free to join us. But this is the information that's detailed for the viewer. We also like to indicate that we have an app, and how can you get the app? You go to the iTunes store or you go to Google Play, but you have to let the people know that the church have an app, all right, and how they can connect with you. In general service, I like to personalize certain things to make it warm and respectful, to the eye. So when we have scriptures being read, I use a different type of background depending on what it is. This was for Communion Sunday, so I put the bread and the wine, okay, with the scripture. So that way, like I said, I like to personalize it to allow everyone know, okay, here, you don't have to go and search. We put it on the screen as well. Then you have individuals that will put, their own, their own Bibles, and so they can highlight certain things. And this is another image, a personalized image that I did for a scripture. Okay, so that way it's on the screen as well as those at home. Those at home, they may not have their Bible ready for, or available for them right then and there. Okay, especially if you're traveling and you're on your phone device and you still want to be a part of the service, you can. I use what they call transitional slides. A transitional slide is for the use of if pastor is introducing the choir or the music ministry. All right, so I would put this on the screen because while the choir is getting prepared to minister to the congregation as well as those that's home, you allow them to know what's taking place. The music ministry is now preparing. Okay, so now, it's just a transitional slide, so that way everything it coincides together. Also, when time for offering, pastor said, okay, it's time for giving. Okay, I also allow them to know you can give online as well, using the website or our app. So these are just images, basic images, and this one is allowing you to know how you can give and what platforms. We usually use a Rim as well as Giverfly. So these are options that you can choose with our church at Bethel on how to give. And I also give you the information of Bethel Baptist Church, WPW. You can go to the website and click on an online giving tab through our website when pastor opened up the doors of the church. This is just a visual, because sometimes things stick in people's mind because of the visual, okay? Some people may be audible, some people are visual. Some people may be both, but this is just to help those that's home and those that's in the sanctuary. And at the end of the service, I always like to make sure that we thank everyone for worshiping with us and that they all may have a blessed evening. And I'm going to pivot back over to Mrs. Camille and make you the host. And I thank you for your opportunity. I thank you for your time. And there's some in the waiting room, Camille.
Oh my goodness. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Those of you who are just joining, I hate that you have missed so much, but thankfully you'll be able to catch up, get a copy of this, and you will be able to hear all of the amazing speakers that we have had. I just want to take a minute to thank Jamal for that amazing presentation. Those examples, as somebody said in the chat, I think it was that Jamal is like a super user of PosterMyWall, and that is the perfect phrase to describe him. As you saw, some of the amazing things that he's been able to do using the templates already in PosterMyWall were just incredible. So using those sermons and sermon graphics and announcements and all those things right during the worship experience, I'm certain has enhanced your ministry by leaps and bounds. So we do have time for a few questions. I'm so glad that you guys have stuck around. Those of you who just got here, you're still in time to hear some amazing information, because we're going to talk to those that have been speaking and get some questions in. However, I told you guys if you stayed until the end that we were going to have something special for you from PosterMyWall. So let us talk about what that's going to be. Free gift. Yay, who loves free? I do. And PosterMyWall, and there's their website right there at the top, PosterMyWall.com. Valid for the rest of this month. You got 100% off, as in free. If you use that code that's there, which is ChurchWeb2020, and this is good for one high-res image or a video. So when you go on to PosterMyWall, I mean, as soon as this is over, you need to run over there so you can check it out. There are all kinds of templates you can use, all kinds of graphics that you can use, and you can download all kinds of stuff and use a lot of the content, and they'll just have their, PosterMyWall in the corner for free. You can use that. However, if you want a high-res copy of what you're working on, or one of the graphics that have the amazing video in the background, they're saying that you can download one of those for free on them. So you can get a real feel of what it's like to use their stuff, guys. Trust me, you want to do this. So again, if you got a pen, you need to write this down. You want to get this code down. It's ChurchWeb2020. I'm not certain or not if it's case sensitive, but I was given it in all caps, so that's how I'm giving it to you. So just in case, ChurchWeb2020, and this is valid for the rest of this month. So through the 31st of July, you can use this code. And again, their website is PosterMyWall.com. So definitely take advantage of this. And I want to thank PosterMyWall for offering this to all of you, because it is a great way to get in there, play around with their stuff, and to get an idea of what they can do for your ministry. So let's get into some Q&A. again, for those of you who can see the screen, those are the email addresses of all of the people that spoke today, including myself. You can reach out to any of us, really. You can reach out to any of us to ask specific questions if we don't get to your question today, or if you think of something later and you want to reach out, please feel free to do that. That's why we are here. So we had a couple of questions in the chat. I think most of those got answered, but I'm going to ask for Jamal and Matt to definitely unmute. So as these questions come up, either of you guys can jump in. And if Molly is still in, that'd be great for Molly to jump in too. One question we had in the chat, someone wanted to know if the Google ad grant for $10,000, and those of you who are just joining in, yes, you missed $10,000 Google ad grant. So you definitely want to go back and watch this again. Wanted to know if this grant was good for people outside of the States. And we're not sure. I don't know if Molly is still able to be in. She had another engagement, but you definitely want to reach out to her to get that information directly from her. So are my guys in here?
I'm here.
Yes, ma'am.
Awesome. Okay, good. Now here's question number one. I mean, as awesome as PosterMyWall is, I mean, it's still work. It's still work to have to get in there and make the graphics, find a way to post them, blah, 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 blah. What are some of your time-saving tips that you can offer to people that, because some of these people are like us, they're one-people shows, you know, they have the responsibility of media marketing all on them. So what are some time-saving tips that you guys have discovered that have helped you shave time off of your responsibilities?
I can speak to that. I'm like the king of efficiency. Everybody on staff loves how I do that. Number one, I have deadlines, and they're hard deadlines for other staff. So I am the sole communications marketing person at the church. We have over 600 active members, and we have over 88 groups that use our facility every week. Again, non-pandemic times, we have thousands of people coming in and out throughout the week. And so I create a lot of graphics and materials. So I need to know what I need to make ahead of time. So I have deadlines. I batch my days. So I have graphic design days. I have writing days. I have social marketing days, that kind of thing. But then also I create templates, and you can create a design in PosterMyWall, for example, and make a copy of it and save it for later. So I make sure that I have, like, if I usually use like a similar theme for all our slides and Sunday services, I use a similar theme for event slides, for example, that I use for like Facebook events. And so I just have kind of like a template copy that I work off of. So I'm not having to recreate something every single time. And of course, there's the pre-templates in PosterMyWall, for example. So I try to do that. I try to have consistency to designs and to events and different ministries, so that I'm not having to like create something out of, you know, the scratch every single time. So that helps me. So batching days, templates, hard deadlines.
Awesome.
To piggyback off of what Matt indicated, creating a template is key. Also, knowing what it is that you're designing for. And once you know what it is that you're designing for, I'm gonna tell you the way I operate. I can't operate out the flesh. I have to be in the spirit, and knowing how the Lord is leading me and what graphics to use. Okay, because once you know what graphics to use, then that's going to make things much easier for you. And then you decide as far as your detailed information of what the event may be or what it's for.
Awesome. Now, we are already over time, but I want to squeeze in one more question. There are some ministries, as I said earlier in the presentation, that just kind of got thrust into this virtual world. And so they're really, really scrambling, trying to pull things together and make things work. So this might seem really, really overwhelming to start building graphics and using templates and posting and all of that. So if they're brand new, or if they're relatively new to this, where should ministries start? What are what are the must-haves? You gotta have at least bare minimum this. And then if they have that, they can build from there. You guys got any ideas about that?
Yeah, I'll start with that, Matt. The first thing I would say to have is an introduction of the church and your church information. Okay. And make sure that you have created a platform such as Facebook, maybe a YouTube channel as well. So certain things you can post on there to get the traffic to let people know who you are and where you are.
I love that. One thing that I'll add to that too is to take advantage of tools like PosterMyWall, but take advantage of it fully. PosterMyWall has the opportunity on there where you can schedule posts, where you can create a graphic and then set it up for later. So when you have free time, you can kind of build your whole week, in advance. So it may seem overwhelming because, oh my God, I don't have time to go to my computer and post every day. And, Matt was saying I need to do it this many times a day and blah, blah, blah. You can sit down when you have the time and really schedule in advance some of the things that you need to do, so it's not as overwhelming. Matt, you have anything to add to what are kind of must-haves or how people can start?
Yeah, I mean, I think just having a plan in place and working with your pastors and your ministry teams to figure out how you can help them. So that sounds very vague, but honestly, I feel like just starting is making a plan. I mean,
that's good.
If you fail the plan, or if you fail the plan, you plan to fail.
How about that? Awesome. Well, guys, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this and for sharing in this PosterMyWall webinar. We had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun getting to know you guys and hanging out, and more importantly, having the opportunity to share something like this for ministry, to be able to get out information to fellow churches, fellow ministry organizations, so they can level up their ministry excellent experience. We definitely want to thank PosterMyWall. Thank you so much, PosterMyWall, for not only putting on this free webinar for ministries all over the nation, but for entrusting me and the other guests, Matt and Molly and Jamal, for being a part of it and for having the opportunity to share our expertise. We're so grateful to you for spotlighting us, and we want everybody out there to know that PosterMyWall has been so incredibly valuable in doing the things that we do, and we're so grateful that we've had the opportunity to share them with you guys, and we hope that you take advantage of PosterMyWall and the things that you learn from Molly with Google Grants to get in there and do something different, be creative and level up your ministry excellence all across the board. It's been so fun hanging out with you guys. Thanks so much for being a part of this. Check out PosterMyWall's website and all of their major social media platforms they use at PosterMyWall. So you'll be able to find them on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Make certain that you're following them so you can hear about all of the incredible webinar opportunities they may have coming up soon, and you can hear about all of the new templates that are coming. Everything that you want to know about PosterMyWall, you can find out by following their social media outlets. So until next time, I again am Camille Jamerson, and on behalf of PosterMyWall, Matt, Jamal, and Molly, we thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.